Joined today by our wonderful, beautiful, luxuriously haired, what? Right now? Hi everyone, welcome to Curator on the Loose Live. My name is Emily Simmons. I work here at the museum in education, and I am joined today by Matthew Burchette, our wonderful, incredible, luxuriously haired curator of the Museum of Flight.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, everybody, for joining.
So we are here with folks from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and we're going to be answering some questions that were submitted early, as well as questions that you submit while you're watching us today. Should we just go ahead and get started?
Send it. Let's do it.
Question number one from TikTok from Serial Designation C. What's the oldest and youngest planes found in the museum?
Ooh, good question. So the oldest plane we have in our collection is the Caproni CA-20. That's a World War I fighter. It was built in 1914. And the youngest aircraft we have is our 787, the Boeing Dreamliner, which was built in 2009. Now here's a cool little story. When I came here to interview for this position, my wife and I were walking around, and we went upstairs in the PCW, that's the Personal Courage Wing, where we have World War I and World War II planes. And of course, the first thing you see is the Caproni. And if you haven't seen the Caproni, we have not restored it. It looks exactly the way it did when it got pulled out of the monastery in Italy. And I thought to myself, really? This is the kind of music, they're just gonna keep this plane looking like this? And then when I took the time to actually read the text, I found out why it looked the way it did. And I went, oh, that makes a lot more sense. So always read the text.
Good point. Something we should probably all listen to.
There's so much information in there.
So this leads into my next question. From Instagram, Terrible Blad 3 asks, why is there a rat in the Caproni?
So it's not a rat, it's actually a mouse. It's not a real mouse, it's just a little furry mouse. Plush mouse? Stuffy mouse?
It looks
Anyway,
it looks cute.
It's a cute mouse.
Cute little mouse.
And so that's kind of a joke that our exhibit designers wanted to play. And it goes back to the fact that that plane was actually stored in an Italian monastery for over 100 years. And to get it out of the building, we took it apart, pulled it out of a third-story window. Anyway, there were a lot of mice and other critters in that monastery, and so to kind of pay homage to that, we stuck a little stuffed mouse in there, and it's something that our docents love to tell our visitors, hey, see if you can find the mouse in the World War I exhibit. So now you know, but you don't know where it is on the Caproni. So now you have to come in and check it out. You can't find it online, so a visit is in order.
Please come here. We would love to see you. Okay, I want to talk about something a little bit older now. Don't worry, it's not you. On
Get
Instagram,
out the aloe vera, burn!
On Instagram, Peter Arden asks, how many parts and pieces make up the Wright Flyer?
Ooh, that is a great question. I actually had to look this up. If you're talking about the Lego Wright Flyer, it's 630 pieces.
Wow.
If you're talking about the Wright Brothers Wright Flyer, I have no idea. I could not find an answer to that.
But you can always come to the Museum of Flight and check out our Wright Flyer.
And feel free to start counting.
Yes.
Or if you really actually want to know, I think your best bet is to contact the Smithsonian. Just be prepared for a long wait. They are very busy with research questions.
Fair.
Also, if you really are truly serious, we will try to find that answer. It may take us a while because that's pretty esoteric.
I wonder if we might have something about that answer within our library.
We probably do.
Speaking of, Anna on TikTok would love to know, how do people access the library at the museum? And she mentions, I've seen signs and Google tried to send me there when I searched for a library.
Oh, Google. Wonderful, crazy, obnoxious Google. So when you Google library near me or something like that, Google will send you to the Harl V. Bracken Library, and that is our library. Harl Bracken was the first Boeing historian, and he felt it was incredibly important for our museum when it first started to be founded around a library, so it is named for him. We are not what they call an open stack library. That means you can't come in and just search the stacks for books and start pulling stuff. But what you can do is go online to our website and look for archives, it'll be over on the right, and make an appointment for the Dahlberg Reading Room. And then you can tell one of our library assistants or research assistants what you're interested in, and we will pull books for you and bring them out to you. So online, and we will put that information in the chat since we can't do like a crawl or anything like that.
No.
But that's the best way to get to the library. We have a ton of stuff, and our library and research people are aces at what they do.
They're incredible.
They really are. And they're really great people.
They're really fun.
They are fun.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That was a great throw.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, here's our first live question.
Ooh.
Are you prepared?
Okay.
It feels a little difficult because it depends on how we interpret it. Here we go. From YouTube, Barry D asks, what is the most historically significant aircraft in the museum?
Oh, wow, Barry D, you were throwing down the big ones today. Ooh, yeah, that is a good one. Historically significant. Holy cow, that, ooh.
And
it
how
does.
Do you decide?
Yeah, how do you decide?
We could say the Wright Flyer.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Wow, you could say the B-52 because it's still flying. It's, you know, designed in 1955, still flying today, probably still flying 30 years from now. It's easily probably one of the only aircraft that's going to have a 100+ year lifespan. That's pretty amazing.
That's very impressive.
Wow. Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm going to turn around and look here for a minute.
As you can see, we do not have a green screen. We are literally in the Museum of Flight with our great gallery behind us. It's really cool.
All right, I'm going to punt on this one, Barry D. And I'm going to say, in my opinion, the most historically significant thing in the museum, and this again is my opinion, is a lowly speed graphic camera. And I know you're out there going, what is he talking about? And the reason I say that is because this speed graphic camera took the very first pictures of America's involvement in World War II. And what is tomorrow? Pearl Harbor Day. It was at Pearl Harbor on one of the B-17s that flew into Pearl, and literally, as they were flying in, the Japanese aircraft were flying by them, and the crews were like, wow, we are really getting an amazing send-off or reception to Pearl. And then they realized, wait a minute, we're getting shot at. So once the planes landed, the photographer jumps out of the plane, takes this speed graphic camera, and shoots the first images of the attack on Pearl Harbor. That is an amazing piece of equipment right there, and one of my favorite objects. Doesn't quite answer your question, but I still think it's very cool. So I'm going to check that off as a win.
W.
W right there.
We were also told today is Pearl Harbor Day.
Oh yeah, it is. See, I have no idea what day it is.
We're busy here.
Yeah,
So-
we just had our AAM reaccreditation yesterday, so there have been 3 days of really intense stuff, so my brain's a little scrambled.
Let's talk about that a little bit, though, because I'm sure people watching would love to know what it takes to have an accredited museum.
That is true. So, AAM is the American Alliance of Museums. It's this huge group of museums and museum professionals, and they accredit museums. And there are only about 130, 140 museums that are accredited across the United States. So it's a big deal. We are an accredited museum. Every 8 to 10 years or so, you have to be reaccredited. There's a ton of self-study that goes into that. You do a museum assessment where AAM officials come out and they walk through, they interview everybody, not just collection staff. They want to talk to education people, they want to talk to our director, our development officers, everybody. And then, over the last 3 days, we've had people here going through everything. We took them through the collection. We talked about how we store things, how we're displaying things, how does collections work with exhibits, how does development work with education. Anything you can think of, they are interested in. And so within the next couple of weeks, we're going to find out if we're reaccredited or not. I am really positive we're going to get it, but fingers crossed. Anyway, so it's a big feather in our cap to be an accredited museum, and it means that the stuff that you are seeing on display or that you actually donate to the museum is being well taken care of and will be here as long as we can physically keep it here safe.
Super cool. So this question is going back maybe one question or so, but related to what you just said about things here at the museum. So it was brought to my attention, folks can't totally see what's behind us, and on TikTok Live, people would like to know what airplanes are behind us.
Are behind us?
Are behind us currently.
Oh. Well, we've got an XF-8U1, which is a prototype for the F-8 Crusader fighter, the last of the gunfighters is what they like to call it, and my favorite plane in the Great Gallery, and one of the coolest, if not the coolest jet fighter there ever was. No argument out there in internet land. Coolest jet fighter ever, F-8 Crusader, done, over, no more talking about it. We have a Canadair Sabre, which is a Canadian version of the F-86. We have a MiG-15, a MiG-21, an F-4 Phantom, a Huey UH-1, a Lockheed Electra, an MD-21, think SR-71, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. Best way to know is to go online if you're not here local and you don't have plans to come. Check out museumoflight.org, or better yet, plan a trip, come here and check it out. We are well worth the trip.
I think so.
I think so.
And sort of related to that, a question we had earlier on TikTok, Commander Spit 27 wants to know, can you let me steal the F4?
Ooh. So here's the deal. If I let you steal the F4, it's not really stealing. It's more like a loan, which involves a ton of paperwork on my end.
No one wants that.
Nobody wants that. So I'm going to say no. Sorry. It's just the paperwork. Ugh.
Yeah. I feel like that's okay, though.
Yeah, I
think
think it's fine.
stolen, people can't come and enjoy it.
I know.
And learn about it.
Sorry. I mean, good try, though.
So on Facebook, Steve Harris wants to know, will you ever finish your B-17 model?
Steve, you're killing me, buddy. All right, I'm going to be honest. Probably not. I kind of lost interest in modeling in general. I just don't have the patience anymore.
There's a lot of small pieces.
Oh my God. Well,
Takes
it's
really
just
fine motor skills, right?
I bought a Jeep about a year ago, and I end up wrenching on it way more than anything else. So, yeah, sorry, Steve. I can box it up and send it to you.
Do you make other types of models?
I used to, yeah. But now I'm wrenching on the Jeep.
Now you have your Jeep.
Yeah.
Your one true love.
I am totally a Jeeper. That's a thing.
Look it up. It's pretty fun. Okay, so this one I am really curious about. I sort of know a little bit about it, but on YouTube, Bambi's Tracks wants to know, how do you hang planes from the ceiling?
Ooh, that is a really good one. Short answer, we don't. Longer answer, we hire a company to do that. And truthfully, so when this building was built, when the gallery was built, the architects and the engineers got together, and each of these has got what we call a node. And you probably can't see it from here, but where the steel structure comes in, it looks kind of somewhat like a geodesic dome in here. there is a middle spot, and that's called a node, and each of those nodes can support, I'm not sure how much, but quite a bit of weight. So we hire a company to come in. We have to open some doors right over here, move a bunch of stuff out of the way. And if we're hanging something, we have to get it down into the well, which means we usually have to crane it into the well, but sometimes, depending upon where it's gonna go, they'll do what's called a trapeze, which is amazing to see. And I think we're actually gonna be doing some hanging work probably in the next 2 years or so. We will put a time lapse on that and post that because it is amazing. But anyway, trapezing, you raise up the plane and then you put another cable to it and you pull it here, another cable and pull it. So you literally trapeze the thing to where you want it to go, and then you hang it or you drop it into its place. It's crazy to watch, and it takes all night. It's something that will start at the end of the day and will literally go all night. It's, you know, obviously you don't want to do it when people are here because if something horrible goes wrong, you don't want the public there. Nothing ever does go wrong, but safety first. But yeah, that's a great question.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I also know that how we do it is safe for certain earthquakes and things like that.
Oh yeah, this is all, I mean, if there is anybody that is going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, it's going to be an engineer, and all of this stuff is totally safe. In fact, when we had a small earthquake here 3 or 4 years back, I think, stuff would kind of sway a little bit, but it was perfectly fine. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of almost calming to me coming into the museum in quiet hours, and you can see some things moving slightly.
Yeah, when the AC kicks on, you can kind of see some things kind of move a little bit. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's really
everything's
nice,
chill. We're just flowing around.
Whatever, brah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next question. On TikTok, Weevil asks, are you planning more exhibits?
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
I can tell you that in 2024, we're going to be opening an exhibit on space stations and living off of our planet, our big blue marble. That's going to be really cool. We actually have a plan going out almost 5 or more years. Some of you may remember our Style in the Aisle exhibit on uniforms of flight attendants. That was a huge success. There's been clamoring for that to open up again, so we're going to do a Style in the Aisle 2 in, I believe, 2026, so take a look for that. And then a ton of other stuff. We're going to redo the Red Barn. We're going to revamp the World War I exhibit like we did for our World War II exhibit. Yeah, we got some really cool stuff planned.
Yeah, again, come to the Museum of Flight.
Yeah, you can't just continue to watch me on TV. Keep doing it, but come here, and then you can meet me in person, and we'll go to lunch.
That would be fun.
And we'll bring Emily.
I would love to come.
And you'll be sick of us in the first 5 minutes.
But we're a lot of fun, so maybe not. Maybe after the first 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay, so this question I've been wondering about since we got it. On TikTok, the Kaiser asks, does the Concorde nose still work?
Theoretically, yes. So the Concorde, you know, flew in here. We didn't really do anything to it. Drain the fuel, drain the hydraulics, all that kind of stuff, but it still has electrical in there. So theoretically, yes, the nose will work. In fact, they pulled it up, and when they got here and pulled the nose into position, there's actually a piece of the cockpit combing that moves with the nose. So when you're in the cockpit, there's a piece that comes up. The pilot took off his hat, shoved it in there, and it closed on top of it.
Why would you do that?
Just as kind of a souvenir, as kind of a, hey, I was here on the last flight.
So the hat is still in there?
No, the hat got stolen.
What?
But we got it back. Anyway, so yes, it could theoretically still move. Unfortunately, if you've been here, you notice that there's kind of a little awning below the nose. So if we were to droop the nose, it would crash into the awning. There would be a lot of glass. There would be a lot of screaming. That is not something that museums really want to happen.
Especially after reaccreditation.
Bingo bango. So if you're listening AAM, we are not going to be moving the nose.
Nope, nope. I want to ask you some more questions about more planes.
More planes.
So on Instagram, this one is a little bit of a trick question.
Ooh.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. I set you up for something that's not true.
Oh.
Epic something. On Instagram, sorry, there's a lot of letters in this name. What are some planes not on display?
Wow, not when I'm drinking. I about did a spit take. Okay, planes not on display.
Not on display.
Okay. So if you've never been here and you've only checked us out online, you may or may not know that we have a second location where we do all our restoration work up at Payne Field. Payne Field is about 30 miles north of Seattle. It's in Everett, Washington. It's where the huge Boeing plant is. Anyway, we got 2 hangars out there. Let's see, we have a DH-7 Comet that we are restoring. We've been working on that for umpteen bazillion years, but it's a big plane.
It's gonna be worth it.
I know, it's gonna be worth it. We've got an F-2G Super Corsair. We've got an H-21 Flying Banana helicopter. Look it up. Cool. We have a Lockheed Jetstar, the prototype for the Lockheed Jetstar. A T-6 Texan, an O2 Skymaster. Very cool. That one actually still flies. In fact, our restoration manager, who's now retired, used to fly it down here for meetings, and instead of being stuck in traffic for an hour and a half, it took him 10 minutes.
Wow.
You gotta love that.
If I had that option, I'd take it.
Oh, heck yeah. I may have to get my pilot's license. So those are most of what we have up here, or up there, that are not on display. We don't have room down here to switch things out, so everything you see here is what is here.
Can someone, anyone, wanting to go see those planes at the Restoration Center, can they?
It is not open to the public. The pandemic kind of killed that off, although if you are making a special trip, reach out and we will see what we can do. Because we want to make sure that everybody kind of sees stuff that they're, if you're like an F2G Super Corsair Uber fan, yeah, we'll help you out.
Thank you. Okay. On TikTok, David Duran asks, how do I apply for a job and are you hiring?
Applying for a job, check our website because we post everything that we have open.
There's a lot.
Yes, we are happy.
There's a lot right now.
Yeah, there is a lot on there, Dave. So check it out, see what'll fit.
We're going to put that in comments for you.
Yeah, we will put that in the chat. We will put a link to our site. I'm looking at the people over there. They're ignoring me because they're busy. But yeah, we'll do that.
We'll do it.
I'm sure it's popping up right now.
Easiest way, go to our website, search careers. There's a ton of stuff on there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, search careers. You are so smart.
Thank you. I try really hard.
I know.
Okay, on YouTube, Barry D. This was also my question, but I kept it because I didn't know if it was a secret. What was that airplane you planned to hang in the Great Gallery?
Ooh.
Can you say?
I can't say yet. I will say it's coming from California, and it is not military. But, holy cow, the people who have flown in this plane, the list is amazing.
Is it a long list?
It is a pretty long list.
Wow. I can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be cool.
Okay, so we have some nose art questions.
Ooh, nice.
So if you haven't known, Matthew's been doing some nose art presentations, shows, events, because there's a lot of interesting nose art and some interesting history with nose art. So first question, I need to find it really quickly to figure out where it actually came from. But we were wondering when we're going to get the second part of your presentation on nose art. That's Facebook by Steve Harris.
That's a good question. It kind of depends on when Vince wants to have another Nose Art After Dark. So if you don't know, a couple of years ago we had an event called Nose Art After Dark, and I gave a presentation on the kind of the history of nose art going up to World War II, and it went really well. And so in the middle of the talk I said, do you guys want to see something from Korea to Vietnam? And people were like, yeah! I think they were drunk, actually.
Probably.
You know.
But also it's cool.
But it was a lot of fun. I wrote my master's thesis on nose art. So it's just something I've been always excited about and just found really cool. So maybe this year, or not this year, boy, that would be interesting. Maybe next year, we'll see. But that's a good one, because I do need to follow up on that, that talk.
Maybe they don't remember. Well, maybe they remember now.
They remember now.
We've just said it.
We hope so.
Okay, so knowing that this was your thesis, you're probably well equipped to answer this question.
Yeah, we'll see.
Popcorn Soda on YouTube wants to know what happened to the Boeing B nose art.
Ooh, coming out swinging. Okay, so if you don't know, and I'm sure you probably do, our B-17 is an F model. It's one of very few, like 3 left. It was restored in the early 2000s, and it was restored by Boeing and a bunch of our volunteers, but mostly Boeing employees, and it is amazing. They did an incredible job. Unfortunately, one of the things that was missed in it was the demarcation line between the OD and the neutral gray was way too high. And after 20 some odd years out in our aviation pavilion and even out on the front berm, the paint had faded really, really badly. So I decided it was time to repaint it. It just needed some love. We needed to correct that paint scheme. And part of that was removing the Boeing B nose art. Now that nose art was not it's a not historic piece of nose art. It wasn't applied to any other plane. It was something that we decided as a museum we wanted to put on the plane to thank Boeing for all their hard work and thousands of dollars and hours that they put into that plane. And it had been there for a very long time. People started referring to the plane as the Boeing B, but I'm a history geek. And what I wanted to do is I wanted that plane to represent all of the Boeing B-17Fs that rolled out of Plant 2, literally about 1.5 miles down the road from here. They never came out of the factory with nose art, unless of course you consider $5,000, but that's extenuating circumstances and that's another question. Anyway, I wanted to bring it back to the way it would have looked when it rolled out of the factory. So off goes the nose art. We're also doing some more work. We're putting the stenciling on it. It had over 325 different stencils on the exterior of the aircraft. Those will be going on over the summer. We're putting wheel covers on the wheels. They all had covers. They probably all got taken off the minute they got on into the field, because when you're trying to service the brakes, you want to keep that thing on and off. But we're putting those on. We've got a couple of formation lights we need to add that were not put in. So the goal is to make that the most accurate B-17F in the world, and we're about 90% there.
Incredible. So is that through our restoration team?
Our restoration team is the one doing the work now, yes. We do have a bunch of Boeing former employees that are helping us out, which is awesome because they know the plane backwards and forwards. But these are all museum volunteers.
This is my own question, I guess. Can other people, say someone like me, volunteer to help with this project?
You can. If you wanted to become a volunteer, you would have to get with our volunteer coordinator.
I know them.
And then there you go.
Then I could just be a volunteer.
You could start
easy.
wrenching on stuff.
That sounds incredible.
There would be an immense amount of hazing.
Okay. Not saying I'm not down. All right. There are quite a few people who are asking about getting up close and personal with some of our aircraft and exhibits on YouTube. AV Geek Joe wants to ask, will we have open cockpit days?
We don't have open cockpit days, but we do have planes that are open every day. So Concorde is open. It's not open right now because we're doing some work on a door. That should be finished within the next, let's say, month, just to be safe. So right now, the 787, the 747, Air Force One, and our 727 are open every day of the week.
That's so cool.
It is cool.
It's
And then
cool
we've
that
got
we do that.
an SR-71 cockpit section back there that you can check out. That's very cool. And I think we also have an F-18.
I think so. Is that what that
F-18
is?
cockpit section. So that's also very cool. And those are actually from planes. We just chop the nose off and jump in.
So on TikTok, Big Bird Jimmy wants to know any chance of getting up and close with the Tomcat?
Define up and close. I mean, you can get out there, you can get pretty close. We don't do open cockpits on that. We don't allow people to walk around to get behind the. Oh my God! A light just went out. This is horrible.
The light knew you looked too good to
No,
be
this
that
is
well
my
lit.
good side. So, I mean, you can get close, but we don't let people just get behind the barrier and all that kind of thing because, public and danger and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of things to run into, but you can get pretty dang close with that thing.
I feel like we could talk a little bit about the barriers that we have and why we have them.
Okay.
This is something that I think most people don't know about. It's not only to protect you from our large and sometimes sharp and sometimes heavy and sometimes low aircraft, but also it's to protect our aircraft because we are here first and foremost to maintain that history and preserve it so that we can continue showing it to the world.
You said it better than I would.
Thank you. That was just my own thing, so let
Nicely
me
done.
find a question for you. This is not a question, but this is a comment that I wanted to share with you since I got it. On TikTok, Char Fire wanted to say, F4 is GOAT. And then I wanted to know if you knew what GOAT was.
I'm not that old. Wow. Again, I disagree. F8 Crusader is GOAT. Again, no more questions, no more
Proven
comments
wrong.
on what is better. F8 Crusader, best ever, coolest looking ever. Done.
Out of all airplanes?
No, just out of jet fighters.
Okay. I'll accept that.
See, been accepted. Emily has spoken.
I do have a different favorite airplane, but we don't need to get into it.
I have favorite airplanes in every gallery.
I love that. I love knowing that. Okay, same person on TikTok, Char Fire, wants to know what % of planes are owned by the museum?
Ooh, that is a good one. Actually, I can't tell you an exact percentage, but it is almost every one of them. Now, obviously, SR-71, B-29, almost all of the military stuff is on loan to us from either the Air Force or the Navy. But we do own the B-17, oddly enough.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the way it works is if we want, say we want an F-15 or an F-16, which we do. So if you got one laying around, give us a holler. We will work through the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, and we will arrange a loan, and that plane can either come from an active duty squadron, and it'll literally fly right in and then be decommissioned. They'll take all the bang out of the bang seats. A lot of times they'll even take out the engines unless we ask very nicely. And then we sign a bunch of papers, and then it becomes ours, and we have to take care of it until we're ready to give it back, and that's usually never. Because if we want an F-15, we really want an F-15. We're not going to give that sucker back.
It's kind of intense.
It is intense.
Yeah.
And each year we have to go through our loans.
Almost.
It's like it's
We
lightning.
go through our loans to do what?
We go through our loan. We have to go through our loans to basically say, yeah, we still got it. Yeah, it's still in great shape. All that kind of stuff. And we send pictures back to the Air Force or the Navy, and Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a good thing that we don't have a ton of stuff on loan because it's a long process.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So again on TikTok, Curve Fry 3S. Did that blackbird behind you ever work?
Yes,
It did.
it did. But here's the cool thing. It's only got about 87 hours on it.
Basically brand new.
It's basically brand new. It's like getting a used car with like less than 500 miles on it. How cool is that? But yeah, it did work. It actually flew ferry missions, mostly ferry missions, taking the D-21 drone to and from places. There were only 2 MD-21s ever built. Unfortunately, one crashed. So if you want to see an MD-21,
We got
You gotta
the
come here.
only one. And it's my favorite airplane ever.
is it really?
It is.
Nice.
I love the MD-21. I love everything about it.
It is really cool.
It's really cool.
I mean, it is very cool.
It's the only one of its kind currently.
But it's still not as cool as the FA Crusader.
Well, we can argue about that later. So on YouTube, AV Geek Joe wants to know, will the museum ever bring back the photo competition? Do you know about the photo competition?
Are we talking about the one that we have every year?
I'm pretty sure we are.
We're still doing it. So again, check the website, but it happens every year. So yes, we are doing the photo competition.
Yes.
I would tell you more about it, but unfortunately I don't know a lot about it because it doesn't fall under my purview.
Nope, but it does fall under someone that works here in exhibits.
And you know him.
And I know him, he's awesome, so.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Okay, going back to nose art a little bit. On YouTube, Popcorn and Soda wants to know, what's your favorite nose art in the museum? They like the one on the P-38 because it's different art on each side of the plane.
Ooh. So unfortunately there's not a lot of nose art on the aircraft in our museum. So I'm going to tell you my very favorite piece of nose art ever, and it's the one that got me really hooked on nose art, and that is Little Miss Mischief. That was a piece of nose art painted by Tony Starcer of the 91st Bomb Group. Now Tony was a mechanic in the 91st, but was a very accomplished artist. He was so good at what he did, he ended up painting over 130 pieces of nose art just for the 91st alone.
Wow.
He got so in demand that he had a crew working with him.
Wow.
He would paint the main piece of nose art while a crew came in and painted the lettering and the name. That's pretty cool. But anyway, what really sets Little Miss Mischief apart is that she was a B-17G, she was a Vega B-17G, she got hit by flak over Germany right around the ball turret, and it just blew a giant hole in the fuselage of the plane. Luckily, the ball turret gunner, while wounded, survived. But if you look up pictures, you will go, how did anybody survive this? How did the plane get back? It got back, and instead of scrapping it, they grafted a tail from an olive drab B-17 onto the natural metal front. And so she flew another like 30 missions with a silver front half and an olive drab tail. Coolest looking B-17 ever. No more questions. I'm out.
Ask more questions.
Oh, okay.
Not you, but
Oh.
I would love for people to argue that.
Well, yeah. I'm sure they're...
It's just fun for me. Okay, TikTok, Ethan Winkler wants to know, do you have anything from Alaska Airlines?
We do.
We do.
We've got some really cool stuff. We've got some amazing pilot uniforms, flight attendant uniforms. We have a really cool wooden sign from SeaTac dating from about the 1980s. It's huge, and it's big, thick wood that's been routed out, and then the letters have been painted. We actually had a conservator come and work on it about a year ago. Looks so cool. We've got china, we've got silverware. Yeah, we've got a ton of stuff.
So we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
This one from Instagram, hey, it's airbus.jpg, wants to know, can you showcase the fighter jets?
Showcase the fighter jets. Do you mean like do an episode on all our fighters? Because that would be a cool idea.
That would be a really cool idea.
All right, we'll think about that. That's a good idea. I like that idea.
If
We'll
that's
start
not-
with the F-8 Crusader. Best fighter jet ever, coolest looking. No more questions.
More questions.
Oh, okay.
If that's not what you mean, you can always come down to the museum. We have docents and other volunteers
True.
on staff in every gallery that you can ask these questions to. They can take you around. I bet all of them probably would be so excited
Oh
to
my
go
gosh.
on a hunt of all of the
Oh, yeah. If you want to
airplanes.
know a ton of stuff,
Yeah.
look for the men and women in the blue blazer. Those are our docents. They go through an entire course. I've had a couple of my friends do it, and it's intensive. They will tell you more than you ever wanted to know
Yes.
about all our stuff, and they love doing it.
Yes. That's how I became to be so in love with the MD-21, was talking to our docents.
Love it.
All right,
Absolutely love it.
final question.
Okay.
On TikTok, Logan asks, you're open late tonight, right? My friend and I are coming.
Is this free first Thursday?
It is free first
It is free
Thursday.
first. We do free first Thursday.
Every month.
Say that 3 times fast.
Free first Thursday.
Free first Thursday.
Free
Free
first
Okay,
Thursday.
see, I can't do it. Free first Thursday. So every Thursday, the first Thursday of each month, we are open until 9 o'clock, and it's free to come in after 5 p.m.
Yes.
And people get here early and line up. A couple of
Yes.
months ago, we had over 6,200 people in here.
That's a
so
lot.
get here early and then check out the museum. It's awesome. When it's dark outside, but it's lit up in here, it is really actually
It is
very
so
cool.
cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And if you're coming tonight, we will also have a really cool education activity, and you might get to see me. I'll be here.
No way.
Are you going to be here?
I am not going to be here because we had AAM reaccreditation
That's
work.
true, right.
I have been
We
here
talked about that.
very early for 3 days in a row. I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
So I am not going to be here.
Fair. So that was our last question. Thank you, everyone who joined.
Thank you so much.
On all of the different platforms. Please follow, subscribe. We do this kind of thing all the time. Matthew's doing lots of Curator on the Looses. What's your next one about?
Ooh, I'm not going to tell you what our next one's about, but it's going to drop in January to kick off the season. It's going to drop in February. It's not going to, I keep getting little things out of
The next
sometime
one.
It's going to drop.
The next one in March.
March. It's going to drop in March. It is going to be awesome. We actually fly in something big and do something while we're flying. It's going to be cool.
I hope it's like making a pizza on the plane.
There is food being made.
Thank you again, everyone. I'm Emily. This is Matthew. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
Do we do?